In a galaxy torn apart by endless war, ancient enemies rise again, and new alliances are forged in the fires of destruction. A mysterious artifact holds the key to universal peace or total annihilation. As planets burn and civilizations crumble, an unlikely group of heroes must race against time to prevent the ultimate catastrophe. But can they overcome their differences before it's too late? From epic space battles to hidden conspiracies, this is a journey you won't forget. Will they succeed, or will the galaxy fall into eternal darkness? Subscribe now to uncover the fate of the universe. The galaxy had always been a tapestry of contrasts. Peaceful worlds nestled among violent ones, advanced civilizations coexisting with primitive tribes, all bound together by the vastness of space. Yet beneath this fragile harmony lay simmering tensions, centuries-old grudges waiting to ignite like dry kindling. It began subtly, a skirmish over disputed territory between two neighboring star systems, each claiming sovereignty over a resource-rich asteroid belt. What started as diplomatic negotiations quickly devolved into open hostility when one side accused the other of sabotage during a mining operation. Ships clashed in the vacuum of space, leaving behind trails of debris and sparking outrage across neighboring sectors. News spread faster than warp engines could travel, igniting old rivalries and drawing in factions who saw opportunity in chaos. Before long, what was once a localized dispute escalated into something far greater, a maelstrom of conflict threatening to engulf the entire galaxy. Amidst the growing turmoil, whispers emerged of a legendary artifact said to possess unimaginable power. Ancient texts spoke of its ability to either unite warring races or obliterate entire civilizations. Legends often dismissed as myth now gained credence as desperate leaders sought any advantage in the escalating war. Meanwhile, ordinary beings found themselves caught in the crossfire, refugees fleeing destroyed homelands, traders losing livelihoods as supply routes were blockaded, and families torn apart by conscription orders. Against this backdrop of despair, a small group of individuals from vastly different backgrounds unknowingly became entangled in events destined to shape the future of the galaxy. They came from opposite ends of the spectrum, united only by circumstance. First, there was Kale, a battle-scarred veteran of the Zarathian Empire, his emerald scales dulled by years of combat and betrayal. Once a decorated officer, he had grown disillusioned with the Empire's relentless expansionism and defected, earning both admiration and hatred in equal measure. Beside him stood Nyxera, an enigmatic insectoid scholar whose species prided itself on intellect rather than warfare. Her iridescent wings bore signs of wear, evidence of countless journeys through hostile territories in search of knowledge. Then there was Rock, a diminutive yet fiercely loyal scavenger hailing from a nomadic tribe of fur-covered mammals. Despite his size, Rock's resourcefulness made him invaluable, able to navigate treacherous terrain and repair almost anything with scraps others would discard. Opposite them loomed Varnix, a towering mechanical construct fusing organic flesh with synthetic components. Part machine, part living being, Varnix straddled the line between creation and creator, haunted by fragmented memories of a life before transformation. And finally, there was Arinder, shrouded in mystery beneath a flowing cloak adorned with sigils that pulsed faintly with energy. Some claimed Arinder was a prophet, others a rogue scientist dabbling in forbidden technologies. Whatever the truth, their presence commanded respect and caution. Each member of this ragtag team carried burdens heavier than their weapons, yet shared a common goal: survival in a fractured galaxy. Their initial mistrust gave way to reluctant cooperation as circumstances forced them to rely on one another, forging bonds stronger than steel. It was not chance that brought these disparate souls together, but destiny woven into the fabric of the cosmos itself. Deep within the archives of a forgotten temple on a remote moon, Nyxera discovered cryptic inscriptions detailing an ancient prophecy. According to the texts, a great calamity would arise when the stars aligned, a harbinger of doom unless a chosen few intervened. The descriptions eerily mirrored current events, warring factions tearing the galaxy apart, whispers of a powerful relic capable of reshaping reality. What struck Nixera most was the depiction of five figures standing united: a reptilian warrior, an insectoid sage, a diminutive scavenger, a hybrid titan, and a cloaked figure radiating energy. Could it be mere coincidence, or were they truly destined to play a pivotal role in averting disaster? As she shared her findings with the group, skepticism mingled with unease. Kale scoffed at the notion of fate dictating their actions, while Rock clung to hope that perhaps they weren't merely pawns in some cosmic game. Varnix analyzed the data methodically, searching for logical explanations even as doubt gnawed at his circuits. Only Arinder seemed unsurprised, nodding solemnly as if confirming suspicions long held. Whether driven by belief or necessity, they resolved to follow the clues laid out in the prophecy, venturing deeper into uncharted territories where answers and dangers awaited. The journey to uncover the artifact began with cryptic coordinates etched into a fragment of an ancient map Nixera had salvaged from the temple archives. These coordinates led them to a desolate, uncharted planet shrouded in perpetual twilight, a world where jagged mountains pierced the sky and rivers of molten lava carved paths through barren plains. The atmosphere crackled with energy, hinting at latent power buried beneath the surface. As they descended onto the planet's rocky terrain, each step felt heavier, as though the weight of history pressed down upon them. Kale scanned the horizon, his keen eyes detecting faint glimmers of movement, shadowy figures that vanished as quickly as they appeared. Whether these were guardians or mere illusions remained unclear, but their presence only heightened the tension. Nixera's expertise proved invaluable as she deciphered additional markings on weathered obelisks scattered across the landscape. Each symbol seemed to resonate with a specific frequency, humming softly when approached. With Rock's nimble fingers and Varnix's brute strength, they worked together to activate the obelisks, triggering a cascade of lights that illuminated a hidden path leading deeper into the planet's core. Arinder remained silent throughout, occasionally pausing to touch the glowing glyphs, their eyes narrowing as if communing with something unseen. Despite their progress, the group couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, every rustle of wind or distant rumble amplifying their unease. Still, they pressed onward, driven by the knowledge that failure meant the galaxy's descent into chaos. Their trek grew increasingly perilous as they ventured further into the planet's interior. The air grew thick with heat and strange metallic scents, making it difficult to breathe without specialized filtration systems. Varnix, ever resourceful, modified their oxygen masks using salvage parts from their ship, ensuring they could press on despite the hostile environment. Along the way, they encountered remnants of an ancient civilization, crumbling ruins adorned with intricate carvings depicting celestial beings wielding unimaginable power. Nixera theorized that these beings might have been the creators of the artifact, though their ultimate fate remained a mystery. Were they destroyed by their own creation? Or did they ascend to some higher plane of existence? The questions lingered unanswered, adding to the sense of foreboding. As they neared what appeared to be the heart of the planet, a vast cavern illuminated by pulsating crystals, they stumbled upon evidence of others who had sought the relic before them. Broken machinery and skeletal remains littered the ground, victims of traps or perhaps infighting. It was a grim reminder of the stakes involved. Yet, amidst the carnage, they found fragments of data logs detailing previous expeditions. Some spoke of betrayal, others of madness induced by proximity to the artifact. One log entry stood out. It calls to you. Resist its pull, or lose yourself entirely. The words sent a chill through the group, reinforcing their resolve to approach the relic with caution. As days turned into weeks, the strain of their mission began to show. Supplies dwindled, tempers flared, and doubts crept into their minds like insidious whispers. It was during one particularly tense evening, camped near a cavern illuminated by bioluminescent fungi, that cracks within the group started to form. Kale, ever the pragmatist, voiced concerns about Arinder's motives, accusing them of withholding crucial information. His suspicions weren't unfounded. Arinder's cryptic comments and occasional lapses into silence raised questions about how much they truly knew. Was this prophecy genuine, or merely a fabrication designed to manipulate them? The accusation hung heavy in the air, creating an uncomfortable rift between the two. Nixera attempted to mediate, urging everyone to focus on their shared goal rather than past grievances. But her words fell on deaf ears. Rock, usually cheerful and optimistic, withdrew into himself, his oversized ears twitching nervously as he observed the growing discord. Even Varnix, typically stoic and mechanical in his demeanor, showed signs of agitation, his synthetic components emitting faint sparks as if mirroring the tension around him. The group's unity, once their greatest strength, now teetered on the brink of collapse. The breaking point came when they discovered a hidden chamber containing advanced weaponry and tools left behind by a rival faction. Kale immediately suggested arming themselves, arguing that survival required preparation for any threat. However, Nixera vehemently opposed the idea, fearing that carrying such weapons would make them no better than those perpetuating the war. The argument escalated, with both sides refusing to back down. In the heat of the moment, Arinder intervened, revealing a startling truth. The artifact they sought wasn't just a relic, it was sentient, capable of influencing those who came too close. This revelation shocked the group, forcing them to reconsider not only their methods but also their trust in one another. Despite the turmoil, they eventually reached a fragile compromise. They would take only what was necessary to defend themselves, vowing not to let paranoia consume them. Yet beneath the surface, resentment simmered, threatening to boil over at any moment. As they continued their journey, the bonds that had once united them felt frayed, tested by external dangers and internal strife. The question loomed large: could they overcome their differences, or would their fractured alliance doom them all? The deeper they ventured into the planet's core, the more the environment seemed alive, almost sentient. The walls of the caverns pulsed faintly with light, casting eerie shadows that danced across the group's faces. Strange noises echoed through the tunnels, whispers that sounded eerily like voices speaking in languages none of them recognized. At first, they dismissed these sounds as products of exhaustion and stress, but soon it became impossible to ignore. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, until it felt as though the very planet itself was trying to communicate with them. Their path eventually led them to a massive chamber dominated by a towering structure resembling a monolith. Its surface shimmered with iridescent hues, shifting colors in response to their movements. Before they could examine it further, a figure emerged from the shadows, a towering being clad in armor that seemed forged from liquid metal. Its face was obscured by a featureless mask, and its presence exuded an aura of authority and menace. Without uttering a word, the Sentinel unleashed a series of holographic projections depicting scenes of destruction, planets reduced to ash, civilizations wiped out, entire star systems consumed by fire. The message was clear: only the worthy could claim the artifact, and proving themselves would require overcoming trials designed to test their resolve. The first trial forced them to confront their deepest fears. For Kale, it was the memory of his former comrades turning against him after his defection, their accusations still haunting him. Nixera faced visions of her homeworld being overrun by invaders, her people slaughtered because of her inability to protect them. Rock relived the loss of his family, taken by slavers when he was just a child. Varnix grappled with fragmented memories of his transformation, unsure whether he had been saved or cursed by the procedure. And Arinder. Arinder's trial remained a mystery, even to the others, though they saw glimpses of anguish in their expression. Each member of the group struggled to endure the psychological torment inflicted upon them, but together they found strength. They reminded each other of their shared purpose, drawing courage from their bond. Slowly, the visions dissipated, replaced by a sense of clarity and determination. When the final projection faded, the Sentinel stepped aside, granting them passage to the next stage of their quest. Though battered and shaken, they emerged stronger, their resolve unwavering. Yet they couldn't shake the feeling that greater challenges and darker truths still awaited them. The artifact's chamber was unlike anything they had encountered before, a vast, spherical room suspended in what seemed like a void. The walls shimmered with constellations that pulsed and shifted, as if alive. At the center floated the relic itself, a crystalline orb radiating an otherworldly glow. Its surface refracted light into a kaleidoscope of colors, each hue resonating with a distinct frequency that vibrated through their very bones. Despite its beauty, there was an undeniable aura of danger surrounding it, a sense that touching it would irrevocably alter their fates. As they approached, the orb emitted a low hum, growing louder with every step. Arinder hesitated, their hand trembling as they reached out, only to withdraw abruptly. "It knows us," they whispered, their voice barely audible over the growing cacophony. "It sees our intentions, our fears, our desires." Kale frowned, his instincts screaming at him to act decisively. "We didn't come this far to hesitate now," he growled, stepping forward. But before he could make contact, the orb flared brightly, forcing them all to shield their eyes. When the light dimmed, they found themselves standing in separate illusions, visions tailored to exploit their deepest vulnerabilities. For Kale, it was a battlefield where his former comrades accused him of betrayal, their voices echoing accusations that cut deeper than any blade. Nixera faced a library engulfed in flames, her life's work reduced to ash as she realized her pursuit of knowledge had inadvertently fueled the war. Rock relived the moment slavers took his family, their screams haunting him as he stood frozen, powerless to intervene. Varnix confronted the scientists who had transformed him, their cold indifference reminding him of the humanity, or lack thereof, he had lost. And for Arinder, the vision remained enigmatic, though the pain etched on their face suggested it was no less harrowing. These trials were not just tests of endurance but of character. Each member of the group wrestled with their inner demons, grappling with choices that defined who they were. Slowly, one by one, they broke free from the illusions, their resolve hardened by the experience. When the last of them emerged, the orb dimmed, its glow softening as if acknowledging their triumph. Yet the cost of resisting its pull left them drained, both physically and emotionally. They understood now why so many had succumbed to its influence. It offered power, but at a price few were willing to pay. With the artifact secured, the group prepared to leave the planet, unaware that their greatest challenge still lay ahead. As they retraced their steps through the caverns, tensions flared once more. Exhaustion and paranoia gnawed at their resolve, amplified by the lingering effects of the artifact's trials. Kale, ever suspicious, accused Arinder of withholding crucial information about the orb's true nature. "You knew what it could do, didn't you?" he snapped, his voice laced with accusation. Arinder met his gaze evenly but remained silent, their expression unreadable beneath the shadows of their hood. Nixera attempted to mediate, urging calm, but even she struggled to maintain composure. Her mind raced with questions about the artifact's sentience and whether trusting it was wise. Meanwhile, Rock grew increasingly withdrawn, his usual optimism replaced by a quiet unease. He couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, was watching them. Varnix, too, seemed troubled, his mechanical components emitting faint sparks as if responding to unseen stimuli. Their suspicions reached a boiling point when they discovered traces of sabotage aboard their ship. Supplies were missing, critical systems damaged, and strange markings etched into the hull suggested tampering. At first, they assumed they had been followed by rival factions, but the truth hit closer to home. Evidence pointed to one of their own, a torn fragment of fabric matching Arinder's cloak, found near the sabotaged engine core. Confronted with the discovery, Arinder admitted to disabling the ship, but not for the reasons they suspected. "This artifact is too dangerous to fall into anyone's hands," they explained, including ours. The revelation sparked outrage, with Kale demanding immediate action while Nixera pleaded for restraint. The argument escalated until Rock, usually the peacemaker, intervened with unexpected ferocity. "Stop fighting," he shouted, his small frame trembling with emotion. "If we turn on each other now, everything we've done will be for nothing." His words struck a chord, forcing them to confront the reality of their situation. Were they truly united, or had the artifact already begun to divide them? In the aftermath of the confrontation, the group reached a tentative agreement. They would repair the ship and decide collectively what to do with the artifact. Working together, they managed to restore essential systems, though the process was fraught with tension. Every glance, every movement carried an unspoken question. Who among them could be trusted? Kale kept a wary eye on Arinder, his hand never far from his weapon. Nixera buried herself in calculations, using her intellect as a shield against the mounting anxiety. Rock scoured the ship for spare parts, his quick thinking proving invaluable despite his size. Even Varnix, typically stoic, showed signs of strain, his circuits sparking erratically as if mirroring the group's discord. Amidst the repairs, they uncovered another layer of complexity. Hidden within the artifact's crystalline structure were fragments of data, records of civilizations that had risen and fallen under its influence. Some had used it to achieve unparalleled prosperity, only to collapse under the weight of hubris. Others had sought to destroy it, unleashing catastrophic consequences in the process. These stories served as a sobering reminder of the stakes involved. Whatever decision they made, it would ripple across the galaxy, shaping the future in ways they couldn't fully comprehend. Irinder proposed a compromise: seal the artifact away, ensuring it remained inaccessible to those who might misuse it. Kale initially resisted, arguing that such power shouldn't be abandoned. "We can use it to end the war," he insisted, "to bring peace." But Nixera countered with logic, pointing out the risks of wielding a tool they barely understood. After hours of heated debate, they finally agreed to entrust the artifact to a neutral party, a reclusive order of scholars rumored to safeguard ancient relics. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was the best they could hope for given the circumstances. Leaving the planet proved more challenging than anticipated. As they prepared for launch, the ground trembled violently, and the caverns began collapsing around them. Massive chunks of rock tumbled from the ceiling, forcing them to navigate treacherous terrain while protecting the artifact. Varnix took point, using his immense strength to clear debris and forge a path forward. Behind him, Nixera guided the others, her sharp mind calculating the safest routes. Rock darted between them, retrieving fallen supplies and patching up minor injuries with surprising dexterity. Even Kale, despite his simmering resentment, contributed by keeping watch for potential threats. Their escape was further complicated by the arrival of an unexpected adversary, a rival faction that had tracked them to the planet. Armed with advanced weaponry and driven by desperation, these mercenaries launched a relentless assault. Outnumbered and outgunned, the group fought back with everything they had. Kale's combat skills shone as he led a defensive line, buying time for the others to reach the ship. Nixera hacked into enemy systems, disabling key equipment and turning the tide in their favor. Rock, resourceful as ever, rigged makeshift traps using scavenged materials, catching the mercenaries off guard. Varnix acted as a living battering ram, charging through enemy lines with devastating efficiency. And Irinder, though reluctant to engage directly, used their mysterious abilities to create barriers of energy, shielding the group from harm. Despite their efforts, the battle took its toll. Wounds bled freely, exhaustion clouded their judgment, and the artifact itself seemed to pulse ominously, as if feeding off the chaos. By the time they reached the ship, they were battered but resolute. With seconds to spare, they lifted off, narrowly avoiding being crushed by falling debris. As the planet receded into the distance, they allowed themselves a brief moment of relief, but the journey was far from over. Their destination was a remote moon orbiting a dying star, home to the Order of the Celestial Keepers. Legends spoke of this enigmatic group, guardians of artifacts and knowledge deemed too dangerous for public consumption. Few dared approach their sanctuary, and fewer still returned with coherent accounts of what lay within. As the group navigated the moon's labyrinthine surface, they couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and apprehension. Towering spires of obsidian jutted from the ground, their surfaces inscribed with runes that glowed faintly in the dim light. The air crackled with energy, and the silence was almost oppressive, broken only by the sound of their footsteps. Upon reaching the entrance to the Keeper's stronghold, they were met by a delegation of robed figures. Their faces were obscured by intricate masks, and their movements were deliberate, almost ritualistic. One stepped forward, extending a gauntlet hand toward the artifact. "You have brought the seed of eternity," the figure intoned, their voice echoing as though spoken by multiple entities. Few possess the wisdom to resist its allure. Fewer still have the courage to relinquish it. The exchange was solemn, almost ceremonial. The artifact was placed in a containment field, surrounded by safeguards designed to prevent unauthorized access. As the keepers sealed it away, they offered the group cryptic advice: "Balance is fragile. Guard your hearts as you would this relic, for the seeds of destruction often lie within." Though grateful for the resolution, the group couldn't shake the feeling that their actions had merely delayed the inevitable. The artifact's power remained, dormant but potent, waiting for the next chapter in its story. The decision to entrust the artifact to the Celestial Keepers had been made with conviction, but its consequences rippled outward in ways none of them could have anticipated. As they departed the moon, news of their actions spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Some hailed them as saviors who had averted catastrophe, while others condemned them as cowards who had squandered an opportunity for ultimate power. Political factions seized upon the event to further their agendas, using it as a rallying cry for peace or justification for renewed conflict. The group found themselves at the center of a media storm, their every move scrutinized and dissected. Kale bore the brunt of this attention, his defection from the Zorathian Empire already infamous. Now, he was painted as either a hero or a traitor depending on the narrative being spun. He struggled to reconcile his desire for anonymity with the weight of responsibility thrust upon him. Nyxera, too, faced challenges as her scholarly peers debated the ethics of her involvement. Was she a pioneer uncovering truths that could unite civilizations, or a reckless adventurer endangering universal stability? Rock, despite his diminutive stature, became a symbol of resilience among his people, inspiring hope in communities ravaged by war. Varnix's hybrid nature made him a subject of fascination and fear, with some viewing him as a harbinger of humanity's evolution or extinction. Irinder, ever enigmatic, vanished without explanation, leaving behind only lingering questions about their true identity and motives. Amidst the chaos, the group began to drift apart, each member grappling with their role in the unfolding drama. Yet even as they went their separate ways, the bonds forged during their journey remained unbroken. They communicated sporadically, sharing updates and reflections, though the frequency of these exchanges dwindled over time. Still, they couldn't escape the feeling that their story was far from over, that the artifact's influence continued to shape events beyond their control. Months passed, and the galaxy seemed to settle into an uneasy truce. Wars paused, treaties were signed, and reconstruction efforts began in earnest. Yet beneath the surface, tensions simmered, fueled by unresolved grievances and opportunistic leaders eager to exploit the fragile peace. It was during this period that strange occurrences began to emerge, reports of ancient ruins awakening, dormant technologies reactivating, and inexplicable phenomena disrupting star systems. At first, these incidents appeared isolated, but patterns soon emerged, suggesting a connection to the artifact. Nyxera was the first to notice the link. While studying data collected during their mission, she discovered anomalies in celestial alignments that mirrored the conditions under which the artifact had been activated. These alignments coincided with the reported disturbances, hinting at a larger cycle tied to the relic's sentience. Her findings prompted her to reach out to the others, urging them to reconvene. Though reluctant, they agreed, sensing that their work was incomplete. Their reunion was bittersweet. Time and distance had changed them, yet the shared trauma of their journey created an unspoken understanding. Together, they pieced together the puzzle, realizing that the artifact's activation had triggered a chain reaction, a cosmic reset designed to realign the galaxy's balance. However, this process was not instantaneous. It unfolded gradually, manifesting as disruptions intended to force civilizations to adapt or perish. The implications were staggering. The artifact wasn't merely a relic of the past, but a mechanism for shaping the future. Armed with this knowledge, the group faced a dilemma. Should they intervene, attempting to guide the galaxy through the transition, or let events unfold naturally, trusting in the artifact's design? The debate reignited old tensions, as each member brought their perspective to bear. Kale argued for decisive action, believing that passivity would lead to unnecessary suffering. Nyxera countered with caution, emphasizing the risks of tampering with forces they barely understood. Rock, drawing on his experiences as a survivor, advocated for grassroots efforts to empower ordinary beings to navigate the changes. Varnix remained pragmatic, analyzing probabilities and proposing contingency plans. And Irinder, having resurfaced unexpectedly, offered cryptic insights that hinted at a deeper purpose behind the cycle. Ultimately, they chose a middle path, spreading awareness while working covertly to mitigate the worst effects of the disruptions. They traveled to affected regions, helping communities prepare for upheaval and fostering cooperation between previously hostile factions. Along the way, they encountered others touched by the artifact's influence. Individuals who had experienced visions, gained abilities, or undergone profound transformations. These encounters reinforced their belief that the artifact's impact extended far beyond themselves, weaving a tapestry of interconnected destinies. Despite their efforts, the process was fraught with hardship. Entire planets were reshaped, ecosystems altered, and societies forced to reinvent themselves. Yet amidst the turmoil, seeds of renewal sprouted. Old rivalries gave way to alliances. Innovation flourished, and a sense of unity emerged from the ashes of division. The group came to see their role not as saviors, but as catalysts, nudging the galaxy toward a brighter future while respecting the autonomy of its inhabitants. As the cycle neared its conclusion, the group gathered one final time on a remote asteroid overlooking a newly formed nebula. The swirling colors of gas and light served as a poignant reminder of the galaxy's endless capacity for creation and destruction. Each member reflected on their journey, the sacrifices made, the lessons learned, and the legacy they hoped to leave behind. Kale expressed gratitude for the chance to fight for something greater than himself, finding solace in the idea that his actions might inspire others to do the same. Nixera marveled at the complexity of existence, vowing to continue unraveling the mysteries of the universe. Rock embraced the uncertainty ahead, confident that resilience and ingenuity would carry his people through any challenge. Varnix accepted his dual nature as both a bridge and a boundary, committed to exploring what it meant to be more than human. And Arinder, ever enigmatic, simply smiled, their eyes reflecting the nebula's glow. Though their paths diverged once more, they carried with them the knowledge that their bond transcended space and time. Together, they had confronted the unknown, defied despair, and proven that even in the darkest moments, hope could prevail. As they parted ways, the nebula served as a beacon, symbolizing the infinite possibilities awaiting those brave enough to seek them. And so, the galaxy entered a new era, not free of conflict, but richer for the lessons of the past. If you've been inspired by this tale of courage, unity, and redemption, consider subscribing for more epic adventures spanning the stars. Your support ensures that stories like these continue to shine brightly in the vastness of the cosmos.